thanks for having me. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, as long as they're not too hard. Yes.
What do you think about the situation of cultural diversity in Nepal?
Cultural diversity in Nepal, I have so much to learn because I've only been here 4 months, but I'm amazed when I read about like the culture, or when I read about the literature and see like the different cultural preservation projects going on in Nepal. For example, one of my jobs as cultural affair officer is to work with different NGOs who are trying to continue to preserve the different cultural monuments. For example, in Part-3.wmv Square, the United States just gave a grant to the Kathmandu Valley Preservation Trust because they're restoring some of the different monuments there. And so when I get to go out and see some of the different monuments and stupas and monasteries, it's amazing, and I feel very humbled to feel so grateful to be in Nepal and learn from everybody, and so many languages and cultures and religions. And like looking at everybody here, there's just so much ethnic diversity. Yes.
Do you think that the cultural exchange among the different states in the world has both advantages and disadvantages?
Oh, okay. I would argue that in general, exchanges are always a positive thing because they promote mutual understanding. I think sometimes when you travel to a new place or you learn a new language, there's lots of growing pains associated because meeting new people is always difficult. Learning a new language is extremely difficult. And sometimes, for example, in my job, when I travel to a new country, my family, my mom, my dad, my sister, all my cousins, my grandparents are back in the United States, and I'm here in Nepal with my small family, so it's very difficult. But I think that exchanges in general, so those would be the negative aspects, but I still think holistically, by promoting cultural exchanges, we open so many doors personally as individuals, because we expand our contacts as well, but for the nations as well, and it really contributes in positive ways.
How much deserving is Barack Obama in getting Nobel Peace Prize?
It depends. Because depending on the individual that you ask, people are going to have very different responses. Because when he was given a Nobel Peace Prize late last year, the reaction was very divided. I personally was very, very pleased that he was awarded a Nobel Peace Prize. He's a leader like Martin Luther King that I greatly respect. And I think he's broken a lot of barriers, not just between African American and Caucasians, but he represents the kind of leader that will just move our nation forward, in my perspective.
Were there any other better candidates than Barack Obama for the same prize?
No, that's another, it's a good question. There's a lot of very, very important individuals on the list. Unfortunately, I don't sit on the committee, so I don't have a vote. But again, the Nobel Peace Prize is given every year, and so many individuals are nominated various times for the award. So it'll be very interesting to see who is awarded the Nobel Peace Prize next year.
What are the similarities between the cultural diversity of the USA and Nepal?
Yes. I believe so. So I want to turn the question back to you. What do you think are the biggest similarities? Lots of different ethnic groups, right? Different religions, different languages, and there's a shared history between the different ethnic groups, but then they also maintain their own identities and cultural traditions, right? But I would say that the U.S. is more of a nation of immigrants than, for example, Nepal. But both countries are incredibly blessed by very rich cultural diversity, cultural and ethnic diversity.
Does the differences between culture of Nepal and America make it more difficult for you?
The only two things that have been difficult for me have been the traffic and the air pollution. Everything else has been very easy. No, what I love about being in Nepal is I feel like I'm back in school because I have so much to learn. Like when I go and visit Part-3.wmv Square, I mean, there's a huge history. I mean, I could focus on the 1800s, I could focus on the 1600s. I mean, there's just a huge history that's built upon itself, and I try to ask as many questions as possible because I have a lot to learn. So, and I hope to travel more to the different regions. So far I've only really been to Halambu and Baidawa and Gorkha, but I think I'm traveling to Surkhet next month, so I'll be able to go to the western region of Nepal and I really want to get to the rural areas because, as I mentioned earlier, I think there's so many interesting cultural traditions that are in the danger of being extinct. So when you travel back to your villages and visit your family members who are way far out, I would encourage you to learn as much as you can from them so you can teach that to your own children and students if you become teachers someday.
Does the Economic Office of the American Embassy have any impact on the Nepali economy, or does it function within the embassy itself only?
No, it's definitely, it's the reason that we have an economic office in the U.S. Embassy is to promote trade and, again, mutual understanding between the government and the country of Nepal and the United States. And so there's a whole host of issues that they work on between women trafficking, climate change has been a really, really big issue. And so the American diplomats who work at the U.S. Embassy in the economic session and the Nepalis who work at the U.S. Embassy, because we have many, many more Nepalis who work at the U.S. Embassy than Americans. Like, we are 60, I think, altogether Americans who work at the embassy, but then there's I think, at least 3 times that Nepali, very professional individuals who contribute their experience and skills, and they're full-time staff members. And so they also work with their counterparts in the Nepali government to promote economic ties between Nepal and the United States. Anyway, thank you for being a wonderful audience, and I really hope that you will come and visit us at the U.S. Embassy so you can take advantage of our resources, and we'll do some cultural programming in the near future, and I'll let Today's Youth Asia know about it, and I hope that you'll come and visit us and take advantage of our resources. Okay? Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you all for watching our show. I wish you had a wonderful time.
Youth TV show Making Nepal Proud Globally को आजको एपिसोडमा यहाँले अमान्डा ज्याकोब्सन र नेपाली युवाहरू बीचको इन्टरेक्सन प्रोग्राम हेर्नुभयो। आशा छ यहाँलाई मन पर्यो होला र आजको एपिसोडको बारेमा पनि यहाँको कुनै कमेन्ट सजेसन्स अथवा फिडब्याक छ भने हामीलाई लेखेर पठाउनुहोस्। ठेगाना टिप्नुहोस् mnpgtv@gmail.com अनि यसैगरी GPO8975 EPC5478 काठमाडौँ नेपाल। See you next week.